Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be shooting some of this. This is Fomapan 400, which is a black and white film stock from Foma. Foma are a Czech company who've been making film for quite a while, but this is a film stock that I've really not managed to get around to shooting yet. It's very cheap. I think I only paid $4.50 for this roll of 120, and so what I thought I would do is go out with the Mamiya, take some portraits of my good friend Jamal, who you may well have seen before on here, and see how the Foma stacks up. And to give me something to compare it to, I'm also going to shoot a roll of Ilford HP5, which I've shot lots of times before, and is really kind of a benchmark of that 400 ISO black and white film. So we're going to head down to Kelham Island at golden hour, get some portraits and see what we can come up with. So that's what we managed to come up with, and I have to say I'm really happy with these shots. As I mentioned before, I don't shoot black and white that much, and so it really makes a difference when you're shooting black and white film, as you're looking more for light and shadows and looking for contrasting situations rather than looking for particular colours, or there's pretty much no colour theory involved, at least from my point of view anyway. This is the reason why we went out and shot at golden hour. I knew that I'd have that contrast of really bright light and also deep shadows as well. And I have to say, I'm absolutely over the moon with how the Foma performed. Got some really crunchy contrast, really nice, really deep blacks, and even on a couple of shots that I'm going to show you now, where I've really underexposed. Yes, the blacks are really faded, but to be fair, it still maintained quite a high level of detail, and that's entirely down to me underexposing and not exposing correctly. I think that what I was doing is, when I was using my light meter, I wasn't exposing for the model, I wasn't exposing for Jamal, I think I was exposing for the whole scene, and that's the reason why it's quite underexposed, but at least it's quite balanced. In comparison, I much prefer the Foma images to the Ilford images. I just think that with the Ilford images, they're a little bit flat, and to be fair, this is not something that I've really come across with Ilford before. I've always been quite happy with the contrast that it gives, so maybe it's the way that I've shot it, maybe it's the fact that I shot the roll of Foma first and then shot the Ilford, so maybe the light had softened a little bit by this point as we were kind of getting towards and just past sunset. But yeah, if you look at the images side by side, I'm personally much happier with the Foma. Now, it has to be said that both of these film stocks are really cheap. I think the Foma was £4.50 or £4, and the Ilford was £5 or £5.50. So in comparison to something like Portrait or Fuji stocks, colour stocks, they are much cheaper. And I do like the challenge of shooting black and white. I do think that shooting black and white is harder, but I do think that quite a lot of the time the payoff is greater. Because again, you've been challenged, and so achieving a good image, you know that more has gone into it, but also there's something just timeless about a really nice contrasted black and white portrait. These are some of my favourite portraits that I've ever taken on film. Definitely my favourite portraits that I've taken on the Mamiya. I have to say, I did make a mistake when I loaded the roll of Ilford. I don't know what I've done, but I only actually got 6 or 7 images back. I don't know how, but when I loaded the film in, when I went to wind it on, the counter was at, I think, 7 or 8, and it's obviously it should be at 1 to start with. So I didn't have as many shots of HP5 to compare, so that's also putting it at a disadvantage. But the overriding takeaway from this video should be that Fomapan 400 is a fantastic, cheap film stock that's widely available everywhere. I got mine from Analog Wonderland. There will be a link down below, and if you do buy anything from Analog Wonderland and join, you can get points, get loyalty points so that you get things off. But also as well, if you use the link down below, you actually get a free roll of Kentmere 35mm black and white film as well, so that's something to look at as well. Huge thanks to Jamal for coming down. We didn't go out to shoot anything else other than these 2 rolls of black and white, so really good of him to come down. Really enjoyed catching up with him. He's been down in London for a while, but he's back up now, so I'm sure that you'll see him in more videos that I do as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, got something out of it. As I say, I cannot recommend Fomapan 400 enough. Really like the detail, the grain, and the contrast. The grain I think is really nice because it's not kind of in your face, but you can still tell that it's there. So let me know what you think down below. What's your favourite black and white film stock? I do need to try out the Kodak, I think is it Tri-X, I think. I do need to try that out because I know quite a few people who've got some really nice images with that. I know that Analog Wonderland actually ran a competition for people shooting that. I think it was the beginning of this year or the end of last year, but there were some unreal images that were shared on social media, so definitely need to try that out. And there's loads more film stocks that I want to try as well. Keep an eye out, I've got a couple of film stocks in my fridge that are ready to be shot, so those videos will be coming soon. But as always, hit that like button if you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you want to see down in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.